The conference chamber floated in neutral space exactly 17 light-years from any claimed territory. Ambassador Chen straightened her uniform as the transport pod docked. Through the viewport, she could see vessels from 47 different species, each one representing a civilization that had conquered the stars, long before humanity learned to make fire. Walked into the grand hall where holographic displays showed real-time translations in 600 languages. The air smelled strange, a mixture of atmospheres carefully balanced to keep everyone alive. Some delegates wore breathing apparatus. Others floated in liquid-filled spheres. The Xanthari delegation stood tallest, their crystalline bodies refracting light into rainbow patterns across the walls. "The human arrives," announced Overlord Krex, his voice booming through translation devices. "How quaint that Earth sends only one representative." Chen smiled politely. She had been chosen carefully. Not for her diplomatic experience, though she had plenty. Not for her scientific knowledge, though she held 3 doctorates. She had been chosen because she could deliver a message without flinching. "I appreciate the Galactic Council agreeing to this meeting," Chen began. "As you know, humanity has been part of the galactic community for 32 years now. We have followed every protocol, respected every boundary, and contributed our fair share to joint projects." Yes, Krex waved a mechanical appendage dismissively. "Your species has been adequately compliant. Why have you requested this emergency session?" Chen activated her personal display. Images filled the center of the chamber, ships, thousands of them. Human ships, but not like anything the galaxy had seen from Earth before. These vessels were massive, sleek, and covered in weapon ports that made the Xanthari warcruisers look like toys. For the past 3 decades, humanity has operated under the Galactic Limitation Treaty, Chen explained. We agreed to cap our military at 15% of our industrial capacity. We agreed to share our technological developments. We agreed to submit our defense plans for council approval. A delegate from the Rix Collective chittered nervously. "And you have honored these agreements. We have inspectors on Earth." "You have inspectors in the public sectors," Chen corrected. "What you are seeing now are vessels from our private military reserve. Ships built in facilities that never appeared on any registry. Weapons developed in laboratories that your satellites never detected." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages. The Xanthari overlord's crystal body glowed bright red, a sign of extreme anger in his species. "This is a violation of every treaty," Krex roared. "The council will respond with immediate sanctions. Your species will be quarantined to your home system." Chen waited for the noise to die down. She did not look afraid. She did not look apologetic. She looked tired. "Let me tell you a story," she said quietly, her voice somehow cutting through the commotion. 12,000 years ago, my ancestors lived in caves. We fought with sharpened stones. Then we learned to farm. We built cities. We created art and music and philosophy. We also created better weapons, sharper spears, stronger bows, eventually bombs that could level entire cities in seconds. "We know your primitive history," Krex interrupted. "What is your point?" "My point is that humanity has always had one defining characteristic. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. When we joined the galactic community, we were told the universe was civilized. We were told wars were rare. We were told the council maintained order." Chen pulled up new images, battle reports, classified documents stolen from council archives. The faces of delegates paled as they recognized their own military secrets displayed for all to see. Yet in the past 30 years, there have been 47 armed conflicts between council members. Chen continued. The Xanthari Empire has engaged in 6 territorial expansions. The Rix Collective eliminated 2 smaller species entirely. The Corvin dynasty tested biological weapons on colony worlds, and the council did nothing because these actions were all technically legal under the treaties you designed. Those matters were handled internally. A Corvin delegate hissed. "They do not concern Earth." "They concern us very much," Chen replied, "because we noticed a pattern. Every treaty you made us sign, every limitation you placed on us, every inspection you demanded, none of you follow the same rules. The Galactic Limitation Treaty applies only to new members, species like us. Species still young enough to be controlled." Overlord Krex stood to his full height, nearly 3 meters tall. "You accuse the Council of conspiracy? Your evidence is circumstantial at best, and even if your paranoid theories held merit, what do you hope to accomplish? You have what, a few thousand hidden ships? The combined fleets of the Council number in the millions. Chen nodded slowly. That is true. Your military advantage is overwhelming, which is why we are here today to negotiate. Negotiate? Krex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. You reveal illegal weapons programs and expect diplomacy? No. Earth will accept inspectors into every facility. You will dismantle these secret ships. You will submit to century-long sanctions. This is not negotiable. You misunderstand, Chen said. We are not here to negotiate our surrender. We are here to offer you one chance to avoid catastrophic mistakes. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. Every delegate focused on the small human standing alone before them. We have been holding back, Chen continued. Not just militarily, though yes, we built ships in secret. We have been holding back our true nature. Humanity has fought wars that would horrify you. We have survived catastrophes that would have ended lesser species. We have looked at the universe and decided that we will never be victims again. She tapped her display one more time. Numbers appeared, calculations, energy outputs, weapons yields, defensive capabilities. The numbers kept climbing and climbing and climbing. Several delegates gasped as they processed what they were seeing. These ships you see are not our full strength, Chen said softly. They are a warning. They are us showing you a fraction of what we have prepared. We are giving you this information freely, because we still believe in peace. We still believe the galaxy can function without violence. But we will not be limited. We will not be controlled. We will not be made vulnerable while you maintain your advantages. Overlord Krex was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was colder than the void outside. What exactly are you proposing? Equal treatment, Chen answered. The same rights every council member enjoys. Freedom to develop our technology without restrictions. Freedom to expand into unclaimed territories. Freedom to defend ourselves by any means we deem necessary. In exchange, we will continue to cooperate with galactic initiatives. We will share our knowledge. We will trade fairly. We will respect legitimate boundaries. And if we refuse? Krex asked. Chen's expression did not change. Then we will take what we should have been given freely. And we will remember that the galaxy forced our hand. We are here today because we prefer friendship to conquest. We prefer cooperation to dominance. But make no mistake, we are prepared for either path. The negotiations had begun. The negotiations stretched across 6 days. Ambassador Chen barely slept, subsisting on stimulants and determination. Across from her, the council representatives rotated in shifts, always fresh, always coordinated. It was a tactic designed to exhaust her, to make her desperate enough to accept unfavorable terms. They did not understand humans very well. On the 3rd day, the Rix Collective proposed a compromise that was not really a compromise. Earth would be allowed to keep 25% of the hidden fleet. The rest would be dismantled under council supervision. In exchange, humanity would gain minor trade advantages and a vote on the Lesser Council, a body with no real authority. Chen rejected it without hesitation. You insult us, she said flatly. You ask us to destroy assets we built with our own resources, while you maintain full military capacity. You offer us scraps and expect gratitude, no. The Corvin dynasty tried next. They suggested an inspection program where Earth would allow unlimited access to all facilities. But in exchange, humanity would receive advanced shield technology. Technology Chen's intelligence team quickly discovered that was already obsolete by council standards. No, she repeated. Overlord Krex watched these exchanges with calculating eyes. On the 4th day, he finally spoke directly to Chen during a recess. You play a dangerous game, Ambassador, he said. They stood on an observation deck watching stars drift past. The council is losing patience. Some delegations are already calling for military action. Let them call, Chen replied. Do you know what happens when you back a human into a corner, Overlord? We do not freeze like prey animals. We do not surrender like civilized species. We fight, and we fight dirty. Krex's crystalline body shifted colors, processing her words. You cannot believe your hidden fleet could withstand the combined might of the galaxy. Chen turned to face him directly. Truthfully? No, if every council species united against Earth, we would eventually lose. But consider the cost. Our ships are equipped with weapons your inspectors never imagined. We have studied every species in the council. We know your weaknesses. The Xanthari regenerative crystals shatter at specific frequencies. The Rix hive mind network can be disrupted by quantum entanglement jammers. The Corvin biology is extremely vulnerable to synthetic pathogens we developed specifically for this scenario. You threaten biological warfare? Krex's voice held genuine shock. I threaten nothing, Chen corrected. I state facts. Humanity has prepared for the possibility of conflict with every major species. We have contingency plans within contingency plans. Before you could defeat us, we would inflict casualties that your civilizations have not seen in centuries. We would target not just military assets but infrastructure, supply lines, communication networks, civilian populations if necessary. She let that sink in before continuing. Your species has been peaceful for so long that you have forgotten what total war actually means. We have not. It has been less than 2 centuries since our last global conflict. The humans who fought those wars may be dead, but we keep their lessons alive. We teach our children about sacrifice and survival. We remember what it takes to win at any cost. Krex was silent for a long moment. You are saying Earth would choose mutual destruction over submission? I am saying we would choose freedom, Chen answered. If the only way to remain free is to burn everything down, we will do it without hesitation. But we would rather not. That is why I am here. That is why we revealed our preparations instead of simply acting. We are giving the Council one opportunity to avoid catastrophe. The Overlord's colors shifted through several spectrums. What do you really want? Your demands for equal treatment sound reasonable, but there must be more. Chen appreciated his directness. You are correct. There is more. We want access to the Jump Gate network without restrictions. We want 3 seats on the primary council with full voting rights. We want protection for human colonies under the same laws that protect yours, and we want all existing treaties that apply only to new member species to be voided. Impossible, Krex said immediately. Those demands would give Earth power equal to empires that have existed for thousands of years. The Council would never agree. Then the Council should prepare for war, Chen said simply. That night, someone tried to assassinate her. The attempt was poorly executed. A nerve toxin that Chen's modified genetics filtered out in seconds. She did not report it. She did not accuse anyone. She simply increased her personal security and continued negotiations the next morning as if nothing had happened. The message was clear. Earth would not be intimidated. On the 5th day, a breakthrough occurred from an unexpected source. The Taurian Enclave, a species that rarely spoke in council sessions, requested a private meeting with Chen. Ambassador Velcro was small compared to most council members, barely a meter tall with feathers that changed colors based on emotion. My people have remained neutral in these debates, Velcro began, but I must tell you something that the larger empires will not. You frighten them, Ambassador Chen, not because of your ships or weapons. They frighten them because you remind them of what they used to be. Chen listened carefully. What do you mean? Every species in the council was once like humanity, Velcro explained. Aggressive, paranoid, constantly preparing for conflict. But as civilizations mature, as they become comfortable in their power, they soften. They forget the hunger that drove them to the stars. They create rules and traditions that maintain their advantages while limiting newcomers. It is not conspiracy, not exactly. It is simply the way empires behave when they have nothing left to fear. Until now, Chen said. Yes, until now. You have shown them that a younger species with sufficient will can challenge the established order. This terrifies them because it means change. It means uncertainty. It means they might lose their comfortable positions. Velcro's feathers shifted to a deep blue, indicating sincerity. The Taurian Enclave will support your demands. We are not powerful enough to matter militarily, but our vote carries moral weight. Other smaller species will follow our lead. If you can convince just 2 or 3 larger empires to abstain rather than oppose you, the Council might actually accept your terms to avoid conflict. Chen felt a spark of hope. Why help us? What does your enclave gain? A precedent, Velcro answered. If Earth can force the Council to grant equal treatment, other species will follow. The existing power structure will be challenged. Change will come whether the empires want it or not. We are patient. We can wait for the galaxy to become more fair, one treaty at a time. On the 6th day, Chen presented her final offer. She stood before the full Council, knowing this was the moment that would determine Earth's future. Members of the Galactic Council, she began, we have negotiated in good faith. We have explained our position clearly. Now I will give you a choice that cannot be avoided any longer. Accept our demands for equal status, or Earth will withdraw from the Council entirely and act as an independent power. We will take what we need. We will defend what we claim. And we will respond to any aggression with overwhelming force. You cannot survive alone, a delegate shouted. Perhaps not forever, Chen agreed. But we will survive long enough to change the galaxy. Our example will inspire others. Within a generation, the careful balance of power that you have maintained for centuries will collapse. Is that what you want? Chaos throughout the stars? Or would you prefer to make room at the table for one more voice? Overlord Krex stood slowly. The chamber fell silent, waiting for the most powerful empire to declare its position. The Zenthari Empire recognizes the strength of Earth, he said carefully. We acknowledge that humanity has proven itself capable and determined. Therefore, we propose an amended agreement. Earth will receive 2 seats on the primary council. Jump gate access will be granted with standard security protocols. Existing treaties will be renegotiated within 5 years to ensure fairness for all members. In exchange, Earth will submit to weapons audits conducted by neutral third parties and agree to territorial expansion limits that apply to all council members equally. It was not everything Chen wanted, but it was enough. It was recognition. It was respect. She looked Krex in his multifaceted eyes and nodded once. Earth accepts these terms. The vote took 3 hours. When it concluded, 29 species supported the agreement, 12 opposed, and 6 abstained. Earth had won its seat at the table. But as Chen boarded her transport to return home, she felt no relief. Only tension. Only awareness that something had broken during these negotiations. Some fundamental assumption about how the galaxy worked. And broken things, she knew, were dangerous until they finished falling apart. 3 months after the historic agreement, everything fell apart. Commander Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the UHSN Defiance, staring at tactical displays that showed a nightmare unfolding in real time. The Corvin dynasty had just launched simultaneous attacks on 5 human colonies in the Outer Rim. Civilian populations, mining stations, research outposts, places that had no military value whatsoever. Casualty reports coming in, her tactical officer said, his voice shaking. New Vancouver colony, 80% of structures destroyed. 15,000 confirmed dead, another 20,000 missing. Hope Station completely gone, no survivors detected. Anderson's world, enough, Mitchell cut him off. She could not process all of it at once. Could not think about the families, the children, the people who had believed they were safe under council protections. Get me Admiral Zhao, and somebody find out where Ambassador Chen is right now. The communication came through seconds later. Admiral Zhao's face appeared on screen, aged beyond his years in just the past 3 months. He had been expecting something like this. They all had. The Corvins are claiming it was an accident, Zhao said without preamble. A navigation error caused their fleet to misidentify civilian targets. They are offering compensation and formal apologies. Mitchell felt rage burning in her chest. Navigation error? They hit 5 separate colonies in coordinated strikes. That is not an accident. Of course it is not, Zhao agreed. It is a message. It is them telling us that our seat on the council means nothing, that our treaty gives us words and paper but no real protection. They are testing whether we will actually respond with the force we threatened. Then we respond, Mitchell said immediately. We show them what happens when you kill human civilians. But Zhao shook his head. Ambassador Chen is already on her way to an emergency council session. We have orders to hold position and await diplomatic resolution. The Corvins knew we would want to retaliate. They are hoping we will strike first so they can claim self-defense and turn the whole council against us. Mitchell wanted to argue, wanted to demand action, but she was a soldier, and soldiers followed orders even when those orders tasted like poison. How long do we wait? As long as it takes, Zhao replied. But make sure your weapons are ready, Commander. I do not think diplomacy is going to work this time. The emergency council session was chaos from the moment it began. Ambassador Chen arrived to find delegations already divided into hostile camps. The Corvins sat calmly, their insect-like faces showing no emotion. Around them, their allies formed a protective cluster. On the opposite side, the few species that supported Earth looked outnumbered and nervous. Overlord Krex called for order, his crystalline body pulsing with barely controlled anger. The Corvin dynasty has presented evidence of a catastrophic navigation failure. that led to regrettable civilian casualties. They have offered full compensation to Earth and agreed to submit their fleet commanders for disciplinary review. Chen stood slowly. She had not slept since receiving news of the attacks. Her uniform was crisp, her posture perfect, but her eyes held something cold and calculating that made several delegates shift uncomfortably. "Evidence," she said quietly. "The Corvin dynasty presents evidence." "How convenient. Let me present some evidence of my own." Her personal display activated, filling the chamber with data. Navigation logs pulled from destroyed colony satellites showed Corvin ships adjusting their targeting with precision. Communication intercepts revealed fleet commanders confirming civilian status before firing. Most damning of all were the Corvin military transmissions that human intelligence had decrypted, messages celebrating the successful intimidation of the upstart species. "This was not an accident," Chen stated. "This was calculated genocide. This was the Corvin dynasty attempting to teach Earth a lesson about knowing our place. They believed we would not have proof. They believed we would accept their lies because we are new to galactic politics." A Corvin delegate rose, his mandibles clicking angrily. "These transmissions are falsified. Human intelligence services are manufacturing evidence to justify aggression. We can verify the authenticity of any data," Chen replied. "I invite neutral investigators to examine every byte of information. We have nothing to hide. Can the Corvin say the same?" Overlord Kreck studied the evidence carefully. "These transmissions, if genuine, suggest premeditation. This would be a serious violation of council law. If genuine," Chen's voice rose for the first time. 35,000 humans are dead. Their bodies are still burning on worlds that were supposed to be protected by council treaties. And you question whether my evidence is genuine? The council must consider all possibilities," Krex began, but Chen cut him off. "No, the council must decide right now what it values more, justice or stability. Because if you choose stability, if you accept Corvin lies to avoid conflict, then you tell every species in the galaxy that council protection is meaningless. You tell them that powerful empires can commit atrocities without consequence, and you tell Earth that we were right to trust no one but ourselves." The chamber fell silent. Chen looked around at the assembled delegates, seeing the calculation in their eyes. They were weighing options, considering politics, thinking about how this crisis affected their interests. It made her sick. "I will make this very simple," she continued. "Earth demands justice. The Corvin commanders who ordered these attacks must be turned over for trial. The dynasty must pay reparations not in credits but in territory, ceding 3 contested systems to human control. And the council must pass a resolution affirming that such attacks will result in collective military response." The Corvin delegate laughed, a chittering sound that echoed unpleasantly. "You demand? You who have been part of this council for mere months? The dynasty will agree to compensation, nothing more. And if Earth attempts to take territory by force, they will learn why the Corvin military has remained undefeated for 600 years. Chen smiled then, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Commander Mitchell, are you receiving this transmission?" A new face appeared on displays throughout the chamber. Commander Mitchell, broadcasting from the bridge of her warship, surrounded by tactical displays showing ship positions throughout the sector. "Receiving clearly, Ambassador," Mitchell confirmed. "The Council has heard the Corvin dynasty's response," Chen said. "Please proceed with Operation Computation." Mitchell nodded. "All human vessels, this is Fleet Command. You are weapons-free. Engage all Corvin military assets. Repeat, engage all Corvin military assets. Rules of engagement, total war protocols. No mercy, no prisoners, no hesitation. Make them remember why you do not touch our people." The transmission ended. For 3 heartbeats, nobody in the council chamber moved. Then displays began showing what was happening across the galaxy. Human ships had been positioned near Corvin territories for weeks, waiting for exactly this moment. They had not been detected because they were using stealth technology that Earth had developed in secret. Technology based on principles the Council did not know humans understood. Now those ships dropped their camouflage and struck. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Corvin patrol ships exploded before they could raise shields. Defense stations erupted in fire as human missiles overwhelmed their defenses. Military installations disappeared under precise bombardment that left surrounding civilian areas untouched. The humans were demonstrating something terrifying. They could have killed everyone but chose to limit their violence to military targets only, for now. "This is an act of war," The Corvin delegate screamed. The council must intervene. Earth must be stopped. But nobody moved. Every delegate in that chamber was watching tactical displays, watching human ships perform maneuvers that should have been impossible, using weapons that should not have existed, demonstrating a level of military sophistication that made council intelligence estimates look like children's guesses. Overlord Krex's colors shifted rapidly, processing what he was seeing. How long have you been planning this? Chen met his gaze steadily. Since before our first negotiation. Did you really think we revealed our hidden fleet without holding anything back? Those ships you saw 3 months ago were our opening offer. What you are seeing now is our actual military capability, and even this is not everything. You deceived the council, Krex said, but there was respect in his voice rather than anger. We protected ourselves, Chen corrected. We told you that humanity prepares for the worst. We told you that we would respond to aggression with overwhelming force. You chose not to believe us. The Corvins chose to test us. Now they learn the price of that mistake. Another display activated, showing a human admiral addressing the Corvin High Command directly. This is Admiral Chen Park of the United Human Space Navy. You have 1 hour to surrender the commanders responsible for attacks on our colonies. You will transfer ownership of the contested systems as Ambassador Chen demanded. You will accept monitoring stations throughout your territory to ensure compliance with galactic law. If you refuse, we will dismantle your military ship by ship, station by station, until you have no capacity to threaten anyone ever again. We will never surrender to an inferior species, a Corvin military leader shouted back. The aftermath of the Corvin defeat sent shockwaves through the galaxy that no one had anticipated. Within weeks, 17 minor species submitted formal requests to Earth for defensive alliances. They had watched a newcomer species challenge an ancient empire and win decisively. More importantly, they had watched the council stand paralyzed while it happened. Ambassador Chen found herself in an unexpected role, architect of a new power structure that threatened to reshape galactic politics entirely. She sat in her office aboard the diplomatic station, reviewing alliance proposals when her assistant interrupted. Ambassador, you have an urgent message from Admiral Zhao. Encrypted. Highest priority. Chen activated the secure channel immediately. Zhao's face appeared, but something was different about him. He looked energized, almost excited in a way she rarely saw from the normally reserved officer. We have a problem, he said without preamble. Or possibly an opportunity. Intelligence just decrypted communications from the Zenthari Empire. They are planning something called Operation Crystalline Harmony. From what we can determine, it is a coordinated effort by the 5 largest council empires to limit human expansion through economic sanctions, territorial blockades, and strategic resource denial. Chen felt her stomach tighten. They are going to try to contain us without direct military confrontation. Exactly. They learned from the Corvin mistake. They will not attack our colonies, but they will make it impossible for us to grow. They will strangle us slowly while maintaining plausible deniability. The Council will present it as reasonable security measures, and our smaller allies will not have the power to stop it. When do they plan to implement this? Zhao smiled grimly. That is where it gets interesting. They are scheduling a council vote in 6 weeks. They believe they have enough support to pass these measures. But here is what they do not know. We have been monitoring their communications for months. We know which delegates are uncertain. We know which empires are dealing with internal problems. And we know exactly how to prevent this vote from succeeding. Chen leaned forward. What are you suggesting? That we move first. That we show the galaxy what human diplomacy really looks like when we have all the information and no reason to hold back. We are calling it Operation Computation. You showed them our military power. Now we show them our other capabilities. 3 days later, a series of events began unfolding across the galaxy with seemingly unrelated timing. A corruption scandal erupted in the Zenthari Imperial Council when documents mysteriously leaked, showing how resources meant for colony development had been diverted to personal accounts. The Rix Collective discovered that their military readiness was far lower than reported after independent auditors found massive accounting errors. The Corvin dynasty, still recovering from their defeat, suddenly faced a rebellion in their outer territories when human intelligence provided rebel groups with detailed information about dynasty weaknesses. None of it could be directly traced back to Earth. But everyone knew Chen watched from her office as the carefully constructed alliance against humanity began crumbling. Each empire that had planned to support Operation Crystalline Harmony now had urgent domestic issues requiring their attention. The vote kept getting postponed as more problems emerged. "You are playing a dangerous game," Overlord Krex told her during an unexpected private meeting. His crystalline body flickered with colors Chen had learned to recognize as deep concern. "You are destabilizing the entire galactic order." "We are exposing corruption that already existed," Chen corrected. "We are simply accelerating conflicts that were inevitable, and we are doing it without firing a single shot." "Is that not what the Council prefers? Peaceful resolution?" "There is nothing peaceful about what you are doing," Krex replied. "You are weaponizing information. You are demonstrating that humanity has intelligence capabilities far beyond what we imagined. Every empire is now questioning what secrets you know about them. Trust is collapsing." "Good," Chen said bluntly. "Trust built on ignorance is not real trust. It is just convenient blindness." The Council functioned on the assumption that everyone played by certain rules, that certain secrets would remain hidden, that powerful empires could act without consequences. "We are changing those assumptions." Krex was silent for a long moment. "What is it that Earth really wants? You have military power, intelligence supremacy, and growing diplomatic influence. Where does this end?" Chen considered her answer carefully. "We want what every species wants: security, prosperity, the freedom to grow and develop without artificial limitations. But more than that, we want a galaxy where rules apply equally to everyone, where a small species has the same protections as a large empire, where justice is not just a word in treaties but something actually enforced." "You want to be the enforcer," Krex observed. "We want to be one of the enforcers," Chen clarified. "We are not trying to dominate the galaxy. We are trying to balance it. For too long, the old empires have made rules that benefit themselves while limiting others. We are simply ensuring that new rules get written with input from everyone." The Overlord's colors shifted to a pattern Chen had not seen before. "You know what happened to the last species that tried to revolutionize council politics? The Draken Confederation proposed reforms similar to what you suggest. The established empires quietly destroyed them. Economic warfare first, then selective assassinations, finally, a manufactured conflict that left their worlds devastated. It took 50 years, but they were erased. Does that not concern you?" Chen met his multifaceted gaze steadily. "It concerns me greatly, which is why we will not be as passive as the Draken. If the Council moves against us, we will not wait 50 years to respond. We will not endure slow destruction quietly. We will fight back immediately, and we will not stop until either we win or everyone loses." "That is madness," Krex said quietly. "That is human nature," Chen replied. "We would rather burn everything down than live as slaves. It is not rational. It is not civilized. But it is who we are. The Council can either accept us as equals, or they can discover what happens when you back humans into a corner with nothing left to lose." 2 weeks later, Operation Crystalline Harmony was officially abandoned. The stated reason was a need to focus on internal reforms following recent scandals. The real reason, everyone knew, was that the empires behind it recognized they had been outmaneuvered. But Chen found no satisfaction in the victory. She had received intelligence that worried her far more than any military threat. Deep background communication suggested that a secret coalition was forming. Not the official council empires, but fringe groups, extremist factions, species that had remained neutral until now. They were united by a single belief, that humanity represented an existential threat to galactic stability. "They are planning something radical," Admiral Zhao told her during their next briefing. "Our intelligence sources are fragmentary, but the pattern is clear. Extremists from multiple species are coordinating. They are acquiring weapons through black market channels. And they are specifically targeting human civilians." Chen felt ice in her veins. "Another colony attack? Worse, they are planning simultaneous terrorist strikes on Earth itself. Multiple cities. Biological weapons, nuclear devices, possibly worse. They want to prove that humans are vulnerable, that our military power cannot protect our homeworld, that other species should resist us rather than ally with us." "Do we have time frames? Specific targets?" Zhao shook his head. "Not yet, but we have something else. We know who is funding these groups, and that is where it gets complicated." He pulled up financial records showing transactions traced through dozens of shell corporations and dummy accounts. The money trail led back to legitimate council member governments, not official military budgets but intelligence agencies operating in shadows. The Zenthari, the Ricks, even some of Earth's supposed allies were quietly financing extremists. They want plausible deniability, Chen said, understanding immediately. If terrorists strike Earth, the council governments can express horror and offer sympathy while secretly celebrating that humans have been taught a lesson. Exactly. And we cannot prove government involvement without exposing intelligence assets we need to keep secret. We cannot strike back militarily without looking like paranoid aggressors. They have put us in an impossible position. Chen was quiet for several minutes, thinking through options and consequences. Finally, she made a decision that would change everything. Recall all human civilians from council territories, she ordered. Every merchant, every student, every tourist. Bring them home within 72 hours. Tell our allies to do the same if they value their people's safety. And activate Protocol Omega. Zhao's eyes widened. Ambassador, Protocol Omega has never been tested at full scale. We do not know if we can actually pull it off. Then we are about to find out, Chen replied. Because we are not going to wait for terrorists to strike our home. We are going to demonstrate exactly what human computation means when we stop holding back completely. The galaxy wanted to see our true nature. They are about to get their wish. Protocol Omega was a strategy that human military theorists had developed in absolute secrecy. The 48 hours felt like an eternity stretched thin. Ambassador Chen remained in her quarters, refusing meetings, ignoring threats, waiting for the galaxy to make its choice. Outside her windows, ships from dozens of species circled the diplomatic station like vultures waiting for death. Some wanted to negotiate, others wanted revenge. None of them could do anything while humanity held the jump gates hostage. Admiral Zhao kept her updated on the situation developing across the galaxy. Economic collapse was accelerating faster than their models predicted. Riots had broken out on 17 worlds where food supplies were running critically low. The Ricks Collective was facing a complete breakdown of their hive coordination because their network relied on gate-speed communications. Even the Zenthari Empire, with all its ancient power, was discovering that modern civilization could not function without instant interstellar travel. Public opinion is shifting, Zhao reported during one of their secure calls. The smaller species are actually supporting us. They see this as their chance to break free from empire dominance. The Taurian Enclave has been organizing a coalition of minor powers calling for complete council reform. If this continues, we might have majority support. That will not matter if the major empires decide to attack Earth directly, Chen replied. They may not be able to reclaim the gates, but they can still hurt us. Are our defenses ready?
As ready as they can be.
We have deployed the full planetary defense grid. Every military asset we possess is positioned around Earth and our major colonies. If they come for us, we will make them bleed for every meter of space. But Chen, you need to understand something. If multiple empires attack simultaneously with their full strength, we will lose eventually. Our technology is superior, but they have numbers we cannot match indefinitely. Chen already knew this, had known it from the beginning. Then we make sure the price of defeating us is so high that they choose negotiation instead. How are the gate demolitions proceeding? Zhao hesitated. You are serious about destroying them if demands are not met? Completely serious. If the galaxy will not change, then we will reset it to a state where no one has advantages. Everyone starting over equally. It would be catastrophic, but it would be fair. That is insane. That is human, Chen corrected. We would rather drag everyone down to our level than accept permanent subjugation. Admiral, if they call our bluff, we follow through. No hesitation. We destroy every gate we control and force them to rebuild civilization from scratch. The next morning, Chen received an unexpected visitor. Overlord Krex requested a private meeting. Just the two of them, no recording devices or witnesses. She agreed, curious about what the powerful Zenthari leader wanted to say without his allies listening. He materialized in her conference room, his crystalline body dimmer than usual, colors muted by exhaustion and stress. You have won, he said without preamble, not because your demands are reasonable, but because the alternative is unacceptable. The Council will agree to your terms. Justice reform, treaty dissolution, expanded representation, all of it. Earth will get what it wants. Chen felt no triumph. Then why do you sound so defeated? You are getting peace without war. Because I am old enough to remember the last time the galactic order changed dramatically, Krex replied. It was 3,000 years ago. The Draken Uprising. They also demanded equality and justice. They also had military advantages that seemed insurmountable. But in the end they lost because they underestimated how far the established powers would go to maintain control. They were annihilated so thoroughly that most species today do not even remember they existed. He moved closer, his body flickering with colors that conveyed deep concern. You think you have won because we are agreeing to your terms. But you have only won the first battle. The empires that rule this galaxy did not achieve their power through military might alone. They achieved it through patience, manipulation, and the willingness to destroy anything that threatens them. You have made them fear you. That is good. But you have also made them hate you. That is very, very dangerous. Are you warning me or threatening me? Chen asked carefully. I am trying to save you, Krex said with surprising intensity, because what you do not understand is that some of us actually agree with your goals. Some of us are tired of the corruption, the inequality, the endless cycle of strong species exploiting weak ones. I have lived for 600 years and watched the Council become an instrument of oppression, disguised as governance. When humans first arrived, I hoped you might be different. And you are. But different is not enough. You need to be smarter. Chen studied the Overlord carefully. What are you really saying? I am saying that when the Council agrees to your terms tomorrow, you will have a brief window where you are powerful enough to matter, but not yet established enough to be destroyed. Use that window wisely. Build real alliances, not just treaties. Find other species who want reform and protect them. Create a network of mutual interest that cannot be easily dismantled. Because if you remain isolated, if you continue to rely solely on your military and intelligence advantages, they will find a way to destroy you. It may take decades, but they will succeed. And where will the Xanthari Empire stand when they make that attempt? Chen asked directly. Krex's colors shifted to a pattern that Chen's briefings had told her meant absolute sincerity among his people. If you do what I suggest, if you build a true coalition for reform rather than ruling through fear, the Xanthari will stand with you. Not publicly at first, but when it matters. Because I am tired of maintaining an empire built on the suffering of others. I am tired of being a jailer pretending to be a statesman. Your species gave me hope that change is possible. Do not waste that by making the same mistakes the Draken made. The meeting ended shortly after, leaving Chen with much to consider. Was Krex sincere? Was this elaborate manipulation? She had no way to be certain. But his words resonated with doubt she had been suppressing. The next day, the Galactic Council convened for the formal vote on Earth's demands. The chamber was packed with delegates from every member species. The tension was suffocating. Overlord Krex stood to present the agreed terms. The Council has deliberated and reached a decision. Earth's demands regarding jump gate access, Council representation, and treaty reform will be accepted with the following provisions. First, jump gates will be returned to neutral administration within 24 hours. Second, Earth will participate in joint security protocols to prevent future unilateral actions. Third, the justice reform will be implemented gradually over 5 years to ensure stability. The vote will now commence. The results appeared on displays throughout the chamber. 41 species voted in favor. 3 voted against. 11 abstained. It was overwhelming approval by any measure. Chen stood to accept the vote, but before she could speak, something unexpected happened. Ambassador Velcro of the Taurian Enclave rose and addressed the Council. The Enclave proposes an additional measure, Velcro announced. We propose the creation of a Reformation Alliance, a coalition of species committed to genuine reform of galactic governance. Any member species may join regardless of size or power. The Alliance will have authority to investigate injustices, enforce treaties against all members equally, and provide mutual defense for its members. Earth has shown us that change is possible. Now we must ensure that change becomes permanent. Chen had not expected this, had not planned for smaller species to take initiative rather than simply following humanity's lead. But as she watched delegates react, she realized this was exactly what Krex had meant. This was how you built lasting reform, by empowering others rather than dominating them. Earth supports this proposal, Chen said firmly, and we offer to share our intelligence capabilities, our defensive technology, and our diplomatic resources with any alliance member who needs them. We are not interested in empire. We are interested in partnership. The vote on the Reformation Alliance passed even more decisively than Earth's original demands. 27 species immediately signed on as founding members. More indicated they would join after consulting with their governments. After the session, Chen met privately with Velcro and several other new allies. The Taurian representative's feathers glowed with satisfaction. "You played this perfectly," Velcro said. "You showed enough strength to be respected, but enough restraint to avoid becoming the monster they accused you of being. And by supporting our alliance proposal instead of demanding to lead it, you gained more true allies in one day than most empires acquire in centuries." "I cannot take credit for wisdom," Chen admitted. "Overlord Krex gave me advice that I almost ignored. He helped me see beyond immediate victory to long-term survival." "Krex is wiser than most realize," Velcro agreed. "He has been working toward reform quietly for decades. Your dramatic actions gave him political cover to act more openly. This is how revolutions succeed. Not through one species dominating, but through many species working together toward shared goals." Chen felt something she had not experienced since this crisis began. Hope. Real hope that maybe the galaxy could change for the better, that maybe humanity's aggressive entry onto the galactic stage would lead to lasting improvements, rather than just another cycle of violence. The intelligence came in fragments, pieces of a puzzle that Admiral Zhao and his team worked desperately to complete. Terrorist cells were moving toward Earth through routes that should have been impossible to navigate undetected. Someone with deep knowledge of human security protocols was helping them, someone on the inside. Chen stood in the war room deep beneath Geneva, surrounded by holographic displays showing threat assessments and defensive positions. Every major human military leader was present, their faces grim as they absorbed the reality of their situation. "We have identified 7 probable attack vectors," Zhao explained, highlighting trajectories on the display.
They are using a combination of stealth technology and falsified identification codes.
"Our best analysis suggests they will strike within 36 hours, targeting major population centers. New York, Tokyo, Mumbai, Lagos, São Paulo. Maximum casualties, maximum psychological impact." "Can we evacuate?" someone asked. "Not without causing mass panic and tipping off the terrorists that we know they are coming," Chen replied. "We need to stop them before they reach Earth. Admiral, what assets do we have in position?" Zhao manipulated the display, showing the defensive grid surrounding Earth. "Orbital platforms, fighter squadrons, point defense systems, everything we have. But if even one attack gets through, we are looking at millions of casualties. These are not conventional weapons. Intelligence suggests they have acquired antimatter devices, biological agents that can survive in atmosphere, possibly even quantum destabilizers that could trigger earthquakes." Chen felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. She had pushed the galaxy to accept humanity as equals. She had threatened total war to protect human interests, and now terrorists were bringing that war to Earth itself, to civilians who had no idea how dangerous the galaxy really was. "There has to be something we are missing," she said, studying the data. "These groups are well-funded but not sophisticated. They should not be able to penetrate our defenses this easily. Someone is helping them actively, providing real-time intelligence. We need to find the leak before we can stop the attack." A new voice spoke from the back of the room. "Perhaps I can help with that." Everyone turned to see Overlord Krex materializing through a secure transport link. His unexpected appearance sent security personnel reaching for weapons until Chen waved them down. "How did you get access to this facility?" she demanded. "I have been monitoring your security for weeks," Krex replied calmly. "Not to attack, but to identify vulnerabilities. And I found one. Your communications officer, Commander Williams, has been compromised. He is not a willing traitor, but his neural implants were hacked by Corvin intelligence during his last medical procedure. Everything you plan, everything you know, is being transmitted to your enemies in real time." Zhao immediately signaled security to detain Williams, who was arrested trying to flee the facility. The commander looked confused, unaware that his own augmented brain had been turned into a spy device. "Why help us?" Chen asked Krex directly. "Why risk revealing your intelligence capabilities?" "Because if terrorists succeed in devastating Earth, your species will respond with genocidal fury," Krex answered bluntly. "You will not carefully target the guilty. You will destroy anyone you suspect of involvement. The reform we just achieved will die in rivers of blood, and because despite what you may think, I do not want to see billions die over political games. Chen made a decision, then help us stop them. Your intelligence capabilities combined with ours might be enough to identify every terrorist cell before they strike. What followed was the most intense, coordinated operation in human history. Krex provided access to Xanthari surveillance networks that covered vast sections of space. Human intelligence agencies cross-referenced that data with their own monitoring. Together, they built a complete picture of the terrorist operation, and what they found was worse than anyone expected. 13 ships, not 7. Each one carrying enough destructive capability to kill tens of millions. They were converging on Earth from different vectors, timed to arrive simultaneously, making interception nearly impossible. We cannot stop them all, Zhao said flatly. Even with perfect intelligence, we do not have enough ships in position. Some will get through. Then we change the equation, Chen replied. She opened a communication channel to the newly formed Reformation Alliance. This is Ambassador Chen to all Alliance members. Earth faces an imminent terrorist attack. We cannot stop it alone. I am requesting immediate military assistance from any species willing to defend not just humanity, but the principle that civilians should never be legitimate targets. If terrorists succeed today, they will target your worlds tomorrow. Help us now or face them alone later. The response was overwhelming. Within minutes, ships from 18 different species altered course toward Earth. The Taurian Enclave sent their entire defense fleet. Minor species that barely had functional militaries offered what they could. Even some council empires that had opposed humanity sent token forces. Recognizing that allowing terrorists to succeed would destabilize everything. But the most surprising response came from the Corvin dynasty. This is High Commander Vexkar of the Corvin military, a transmission announced. Our government may have made terrible mistakes regarding humanity. Some of our intelligence agencies may have funded extremists, but the dynasty does not condone terrorism against civilians. We are sending ships to defend Earth. Not because we have forgiven you for our defeat, but because some lines should never be crossed. Chen felt something shift in her understanding of galactic politics. Not everyone fit into simple categories of ally or enemy. Sometimes even former adversaries could find common ground. The defense of Earth became a massive, coordinated effort. Alliance ships took positions throughout the solar system, creating overlapping defensive zones. Human commanders shared targeting data with alien species whose weapons systems they had been studying for potential combat just weeks earlier. Cultural barriers dissolved under the pressure of immediate necessity. When the terrorist ships arrived, they found not a vulnerable target, but a united front. The battle lasted 4 hours and 17 minutes. It was brutal and chaotic, with ships from dozens of species fighting in formations they had never practiced together. 3 terrorist vessels broke through the outer defensive perimeter. Human fighters intercepted 2 of them in desperate close-range combat that destroyed several defending ships along with their targets. The 3rd made it to the upper atmosphere before a Taurian pilot deliberately rammed it, sacrificing himself to save millions of strangers on a world he had never visited. In the end, every terrorist ship was destroyed. Earth's casualties were limited to defensive forces rather than civilian populations. But the cost had been significant. 47 ships destroyed, over 2,000 crew members dead from a dozen different species. Chen stood at a memorial service held in orbit around Earth, watching as the names of the fallen scrolled past. Humans, Taurians, Xanthari, even Corvins who had died defending the world their government had recently attacked. It was a strange moment, seeing the galaxy united not by politics or treaties but by shared sacrifice. You have accomplished something remarkable, Overlord Krex said, standing beside her. You forced the galaxy to confront its own contradictions, to choose between comfortable corruption and difficult justice. Not everyone made the right choice, but enough did to matter. We almost lost everything, Chen replied. If you had not warned us about the leak, if the Alliance had not responded, Earth would be burning right now. But they did respond. That is what matters. You showed the galaxy that cooperation is possible even between former enemies. You proved that reform is not just idealistic nonsense but practical necessity. Chen watched the names continue scrolling.
What happens now?
We have achieved recognition, survived an attack, built an alliance. But the forces that opposed us are still out there. They will try again. Of course they will, Krex agreed. But next time you will not face them alone. The Reformation Alliance is real now, forged in battle rather than just signed on paper. And every species that fought here today will remember what it felt like to defend something larger than themselves. He turned to face her directly, his crystalline body reflecting Earth's blue glow. You asked me once what the Zinthari Empire would do when your enemies tried to destroy you. I think you have your answer now. Some of us are tired of being villains in someone else's story. Some of us want to be remembered as the generation that chose change over tradition. Your species gave us that opportunity. Whatever comes next, you will not face it alone. 3 months after the Battle of Earth, as historians were already calling it, the Galactic Council convened to address the aftermath. The chamber had changed. New seats had been added for Alliance members. The old power structure remained, but it was no longer absolute. Chen stood to deliver Earth's formal statement. She had been chosen once again, not for her diplomacy, but for her ability to speak uncomfortable truths. We came to this galaxy as newcomers, she began. We were told to accept our place, to follow rules we had no part in creating, to trust in justice we had no way to enforce. We refused.